I think it's the opposite of what you're saying. I think when you talk about this, I think you're operating as if the majority of people in America are these well-off people who are doing well and have these tight-knit families and have trust where everything is in order. And I think that's the minority still. Like I think even a majority, I think there's a lot of white people. You know how they say more white people on food stamps than black people?
Sure.
Like there are a lot of white dysfunctional families.
I don't like this narrative. I'm gonna tell you why. It's like when, okay, I'd attribute most women to being like celebrities at their peak or their uprise, right? When they're on their uprise, they're selling out the crypto stadium. They selling out, they on tour. People paying thousands of dollars to see them. Then on they decline when nobody's playing their music and no paparazzi ain't following them. Now they performing at the local like senior citizens, situation or like some knockoff high school, right? And then and only then do they appreciate their career and their talent, and they appreciate what now is important in life, But before it didn't matter because they were selling out arenas. Like I hate that narrative, man. It's like, why is it that it takes so long? And then I'm also saying to this point, and I hope I'm not contradicting my initial point. I don't think women are like that, in my opinion. I think women always like the Russell Wilson. I think what happens, because we're talking about our community has this attraction to caricatures. We have attraction to like boom, bow, bam. Because the reality is when you look at most married people, they're not married to people that got plugs and a bunch of tattoos and all that. The dude ain't an ex-gangster. He didn't slang. He didn't do none of that. He was normal. He went to school. He graduated. He got a job. He worked at the plant. That's typical. However, somehow, some way, in our community, we have this story behind how, well, girl, he gotta just do it for me. Then when you ask the heifer, what does he do for you? She can't even explain it. That's how stupid it is, because it's not like quantifiable. That's a girl. Women always want the dependable dude. When she 18, 22, 25. I need women to be honest about that I'm not mature enough to grow up and understand. So yeah, I go through a conversion. Like I'm a declining artist now. I sell out high schools. I'm no longer the headliner. I'll land.
To be fair though, you're right. Okay.
I don't think he is.
I think it is the need to, one, it's the need to like satisfy what everybody else likes, right? So like my man got to look this way so I can gain the approval of like the people that are around, my friends or whatever. So yes, it's what's popular. But deep down, yes, we always wanted the Russell Wilson. We always wanted them to treat us right. Unfortunately, the men that like gain the approval of your peers are not those men that treat you like that. So
Thank you,
you're
but
not wrong. Yeah.
Oh,
I
true, true,
appreciate you.
Yeah.
true.
No, you're
Thank
definitely
you.
I'll,
not wrong. So
I'll tell you why I
I
think
will
you're wrong.
agree with you there.
I'll tell you why I think you're wrong. True, right? I've been to several high schools, right? I've been to a really bad white high school in the inner city. I've been to a decent school in the suburbs, right? I've been to both of them. And in both of those schools, right, the popular guys are never just the guys who are just intelligent, right? The guys, that all the girls want. They want that guy that peaks early, the one with the six pack, the one that's cool, charismatic. It don't matter where you are. He doesn't have to have tattoos and stuff like that. Even though the ones who often have the tattoos and is willing to take risk early it's attractive to women, and I get it. It makes perfect sense why it would be attractive. It's a there's a masculinity to it, but I don't buy that the women wanted the Russell Wilson early on. I don't buy that at all. Some of them do, right? Because a lot of women understand when they're average, right? Even though we like to say they don't, but a lot of women do understand when they're average. And even though they might be like, oh, look at that guy, he's so attractive, but I ain't, he don't want no girl like me. A lot of them understand that. They be like, he don't want no girl like me, and they end up with average guys like in their high school in their hometown, and they end up living their life, and they're not worried about future and all those type of guys. But the girls who are the upper echelon inside of the school, they're dating all of the popular, the attractive guys, the athletes. Like they're getting who they want, right? The athlete, those guys get to pick who they want. And if they gave an average girl attention, she'd be like, "Oh my god, you like me?" Like, yeah, they would, yeah.
I think you missed the part where I said I know amongst each other we're talking about predominantly our community. I utilize our community, for example, that in my opinion, because I've been in several different exchanges, multitude of cultures, multitude of different demographics. I personally believe, and Bo even admitted this, most women want the Russell. I'm speaking from, okay, I don't think our community understands that there's a lot of us that can't get girls that are actually quality, that are good women, that come from good freaking families. So we depict that value is, ooh, that's not getting women. Like having them like gawk at you, having them like chat about you. No, because there's girls that men that are the future can't touch. And I don't think guys understand that in our community, because the way we interact with each other on a relational perspective is not the norm. That's just not normal. Like there's protection. There's some people you can't get to because their family is strong. Mm-hmm. And I get what you're saying, Mont, that there is an attraction, a peak level of what girls, young females, may find interesting. But if we're doing this correctly, most of the girls also, if they're being raised correctly and protected correctly, understand that that's not permissible. I wouldn't even entertain it. It wouldn't go nowhere.
I want you to give me the percentage of women who you think are raised correctly, right, with extremely strong fathers who are controlling who they would allow them to date and who they won't allow them to date. What percentage do you think across all America?
I would say it's about 55-45.
You think 55% of the women in America, the men are so strong in that family and they have such a grasp on that family that my girl can't bring home who I don't want her to bring home.
We talking about America that is heavily dominated by people who don't look like us, right?
White people, all of that.
Yeah, 55-45, easy.
That I would argue it's less than 20% of fathers who have that type of control that's going to control who their daughter is bringing home.
I'll tell you why, because even when I bring up the concept of how relationships are supposed to be built, most people that I've seen on these panels don't even understand that you don't get married without the assistance of the family. We still talk about relationships like it's just us. We talk about it like I ain't having a conversation with your father or your mother or your grandfather, because in most times that we meet each other getting together, they are putting together our relationship and assisting. That's why people get houses and weddings and honeymoons. How many people you know got married and actually went on a honeymoon? Not to Vegas, not to Oklahoma, but like to Greece. How many people do you know?
I don't know a ton of people.
I'm sure, because in our community, we look at relationships like high school, and that's not most people. The average wedding in America is $35,000-$40,000. Most people make that in a year. So how is that possible? Is statistically, most people who are getting married spend $35,000-$40,000, and the average income in our community is $35,000, $40,000, $50,000. So that's why I think it's more prominent than we want to give it credit for. We isolate ourselves a lot because we think we are the standard, or we're not.
I think it's the opposite of what you're saying. I think when you talk about this, I think you're operating as if the majority of people in America are these well-off people who are doing well and have these tight-knit families and have trust where everything is in order. And I think that's the minority still. Like, I think even a majority, I think there's a lot of white people. You know how they say more white people on food stamps than black people? Sure. Like, there are a lot of white dysfunctional families. And even when I went to a suburban school, right? Most of that suburban school, 75% of it was just blue collar people, blue collar white people who they lived in a small community, but at the same time, like they just were regular people. It wasn't like a rich high school. It was just a suburban high school. And most of those families, if their daughter brought home a guy, those people were very they were very understanding. You know, like a lot of these kids get strung out on drugs and they kind of go through this little phase and then they kind of adjust. But as strict as we think they are, where their kids aren't fucking on people they don't want them to fuck on, and they not doing drugs they don't want them to use, and they not drinking and sneaking out and doing all these extra things. Like they they having a fun.
I think you're interjecting.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Marcus.
Yeah, I was gonna co-sign what mine saying, because I think we might look at our like the hypersexualized, hyper machismo version of what we are and say that that's just isolated to our culture. But if you go to the white culture, the American Pie white boys is the same version. It's a white version of the black man who gonna get it, the gangster, the rogue, the preacher, and it's like one other. That archetype across culture works. So you will get the cool white boys who gonna be the heartthrob for all these white girls. What's Buddy the Fonz? You know what I'm saying? They not. It's not just Andy Cleaver and the most straight-laced white guy is gonna always win because he has a career in the future and all those eventually. But until they get older, the same way kind of with us, and cool and attraction ain't really the key aspect. All these communities, the Yakuza, like all type of different communities have that same aspect of men who gonna successfully be able to attract a multitude of women. I don't think we can hyperfixate to say just because we backwards, or I don't think so.
That's not my argument. I agree with you. I think that the biggest separation is that you use TV. That is true, but most of the time the young ladies are not living their life from TV. Like they have real life examples. So I get what you're saying. That's the difference. That's what I see. I could be wrong. This is from my anecdotal as well as like.
Right. I could be wrong too. I will use TV as a depiction that we all be familiar with because we don't know the same people. But the archetype in college, the same dudes that was popping on the black side, same dudes that the white dude was popping on the white side, like in the Hispanic side. It's like the archetype of men that universally, and those groups of men can go like interracial with it. They don't just got to stay with amongst their group. It'd be the same white dudes that come over could get a black girl if they wanted to. They can get a Hispanic girl. Like same with the black guys. They can go get a white girl if they want to. They can. So what I'm saying is that archetype is attractive across the board to real dope point. Until you get to be 30 or have children, 35 or have children, and then you got to figure out, somebody you're gonna spend your life with. And then it kind of changes. That's my perspective. I could be wrong though.
And true, if I'm hearing you correctly, you're saying that in other cultures, and I want to use white people, you're saying that in these cultures, en masse, the majority of these women aren't actually attracted to the guy with all of the traits that we think women look for in our community, like being tall, being good looking, probably being a little bit of a player because he has a ton of options. He don't got to be a drug dealer and all that type of stuff, but let's say he's an athlete. He's an athlete in high school. You think that the majority of the women in that school, if they had the opportunity, would not be willing to be in a relationship with him because they know that, my dad ain't going for that.
I think that's sometimes we think that our perception on the way other nationalities commingle is like us, and it's not. There's girls that Future could not get, even the famous.
Let's take Future out of. Can I use somebody else?
Okay, well,
I based mine off. I went to a PW.
Okay,
I just want to take Future out. Just use a professional athlete. Use a basketball player or something.
Man, you put me on the spot. I don't be following sports like that. I'm going just from the standpoint of the archetype. Future as the archetype. So not Future, but a Future like, right? His type doesn't work.
Iverson.
Huh?
Understand what a Future like. What I mean by a Future like, though. What I mean by a Future like is just a guy who gets a lot of women, and he is like a professional. He has his pick of the litter. Like he tall. He got the traits you're looking for. Yeah.
That's not a universal archetype amongst relationships that matter. Not sex and getting bent over. That's why.
The why? What's the why there?
What is the why?
Why is he don't want to be in a relationship?
No, I don't
because
think that's
not a lot of those dudes for one.
Well, that's one, but I think that overwhelmingly, again, this is why it's hard. Most of the time, you're talking about healthy. I'm talking about healthy relationships, healthy families. This stuff does not occur, bro. Like Stephen Diggs, perfect example. That's considered clown-like behavior. That just doesn't occur amongst men that have pride about their lineage and their family and all those things. Leonardo DiCaprio, cool. Yeah, Leo been dating and doing his thing, banging, whatever. But I don't even know if Leo's a good example. Like, he's a one-off. That's not typical.
True.
Charlie Sheen. What's his name?
That's funny.
Okay. Let's take that.
That
those are still uncommon. We're gonna keep it on our community.
Yeah.
We're trying to make the uncommon common. Leonardo's uncommon. Charlie Sheen is an uncommon. When you look at their demographic, that's not normal. We try to make the opposite normal.
What we were saying is the archetype is what is the thing. So it may not be that one specific person, but it's an archetype cross-culturally that wins in all facets. That was the initial point.
Yeah.